pleasant day wherever you're watching us from in the world. My name is Oluwamoyamiwa and you're welcome to Overcoming Abuse. And today we'll be talking about child abuse. Our guest is right here in the studio. We'll be right back shortly. Please don't go anywhere. Good to have you back. The program is still Overcoming Abuse and we have our guests today. Today we're talking about child abuse, and our guest is Mr. Marcus Williams, the country lead La Viet Mat Global Mission, aka Living World Mission, the state coordinator, Association for Orphans and Vulnerable Children in Nigeria, the chairman of your state for Ministry of Women Affairs and Rapid Response Team on GBV, among many other national responsibility. Good to have you on the show today,
Thank you
Mr.
very much.
Marcos
Good to be
Williams.
here.
So great to have you on the program.
Thank you. I had you struggling to get the name right.
Exactly
It
that.
is called Lavemo
Lavemo.
Mission.
Okay, Lavimo. What's Lavimo?
Lavemo means life.
Like,
Alright, so it's for living word.
living
Okay.
world.
It's a distorted form of living word mission. So it's Lavemo Vivant
Okay.
Global Mission. But we remove the vivant so that it will be easier for people to pronounce. So it's just Lavemo Global Mission, also known as Living World Mission.
Oh, beautiful.
Then again, I think the last time we met, I was a state coordinator, but I can gladly tell you right now that I am a national coordinator
Wow.
for the Associations of Orphans and Vulnerable Children
Wow,
NGO in Nigeria. And then that came around yesterday. And,
Wow. Congratulations.
thank you so very much. But it's responsibility, though,
Wow. Which
in
one?
terms of protecting children.
Exactly. Which one? And I pray that God will help you
Thank you.
and strengthen you in
Amen.
this.
Amen.
Good to have you on the show, sir.
Thank you.
So, why this career path?
I would say it's an opportunistic presentation. It was not the intended, not the actual sought for. It came because I found myself in a situation where I was many years ago, battered, beaten, abused, and I now see children in that same scenario. So I just told myself, no, I needed to do something about it. If not, they might not survive. Not all children have capacity for resilience, particularly vulnerable children.
All right.
Some may, some may not.
Well, thank you very much, sir. So you work with orphans, vulnerable, and abused children. What are your experiences with them?
I'll first of all tell you that a vulnerable child is any child at risk of abuse.
As what?
Any child that is at risk of abuse.
Mm.
And that implies by default that you don't have to be a vulnerable woman or man to have a vulnerable child around you. You could be the best of the best celebrity in town and your children are vulnerable. And so my experience with vulnerable children, is multi plethora in its manifestation. The reason I say that is because one, vulnerable children have capacity to endure, but most times people think that they do not have. Vulnerable children seem to demonstrate the will to survive, and people think, they will die if nothing is done. But I tell you, they don't die. I give an instance: a particular child about age 9 months was dropped in a stream.
Wow.
Right?
9 months.
Yes, and then the person who dropped the child was waiting for rain to fall and the flood to take away the child. But rain came and passed by, the child remained there.
And to survive.
And yes, and community leaders came and picked the child. Right now, the child is chubby, doing well. We don't even know where the mother is. I see the capacity to survive is not dependent on the adult, it is dependent on that child. However, if they want to survive, they need the adult. You understand? They need the adult because it is the adult that will give them leveraging opportunity to thrive in whatever sphere they want to flow in life. Then again, another thing about vulnerable children is that they are prone to abuse. It could be spiritual, it could be psychological, it could be sexual, it could be verbal, all
Mental,
sorts of
psychological,
abuse, all sorts of
emotional.
abuse. Yeah, and one fantastic thing about those abuses is that they come in the name of I'm trying to help you. Yes, there is no predator who has ever preyed on any child who comes to say, I want to take advantage of you. They say, I want to help you. Let me help you. Let me help you. And in the name of trying to help the child, they take advantage of the child. And that for us is the abuse. Regardless of its forms, of its manifestation. Whether it's a father or a mother doesn't apply. What applies is an advantage has been taken. Yes, and the rest of the child is inflicted upon in abuse.
Thank you so much, sir. So, what is child abuse and why is it plaguing our society?
All right, child abuse, it's something that I would describe as anything, everything, all things that robs the child of her right to dignity, right to food, right to education, right to fair hearing, right to life. Anything that seeks to rob that child of those opportunities, that is an infringement, that is child abuse. It is not when it is hurtful, it becomes child abuse, particularly if you are a politician, you find yourself in the political office and then there's this fund for children rather than disburse to the appropriate ministries for those children to receive those resources. Do not divert it for something else. That is child abuse. You are abusing children in this state. But you see, when you cascade it down to lower versions that people know around us, you begin to look at sexual abuse, you begin to look at verbal abuse, you begin to look at emotional abuse, psychological abuse, physical abuse, abandonment, etc., as abuse. But anything you do, anything, regardless of color or manifestation, once it robs a child of opportunity of our own right, it is an abuse on that child.
So, we were talking with Mr. Marcus Williams, and he said anything you do that it affects the child's psychological, mental, emotional being, you're robbing the child of his or her future. If I could rephrase it.
Fantastically okay.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. We'll be right back shortly. Please don't go anywhere.
Violence in marriage, anything abuse is negative. It's from the pit of hell. If you look through scripture, abuse depicts negativity. And then come to look at it, a spouse abusing the other spouse. It is from the pit of hell. It is not of God at all. Because when Bible instituted marriage, it says the two of you should go together, be fruitful, multiply. Abuse has, you know, put apart things like that. Abuse is one of the problems we're having today, looking at children on the streets. Because some of the parents have abused the other and then they have gone their ways and the children are on the streets. That is why we have majorly crimes going out there. So I'm really believing God that we will come to that point where we really have value for one another or value for each other. As a spouse, I should respect my husband. My husband should give me his own, maximum cooperation. Even when I err, he should be able to correct me in love. That is Bible standard. Correct me in love, not by slapping me, pushing my head, knocking me, kicking me, and after that you come to say, honey, I love you. How does it work? And that is what has destroyed a lot of homes today.
Rape and other forms of sexual violence is a crime. Even if a woman get a wife, desist from this ugly act. Live a good life. Be a good ambassador in your community. Yes. Be a brother's keeper. Save lives.
Good to have you back on the program. The program is still child abuse, and I'm talking with Mr. Marcus Williams. And okay, so we've been talking about different forms of abuse or child abuse. So how can we stop this menace in the society? Because it's really plaguing the society, and so many kids are out there being abused.
Yeah.
Some of them cannot even express themselves to their parents.
Yeah.
How can we? How can
Like I said earlier on, some of these children don't even see it as abuse. They see it as he's helping me, right? And so they seem to remain there. Particularly when you want to rescue them, they see you as the enemy. So you need to do a lot of counseling, a lot of talks before they will now realize that actually that person was taking advantage of them. Now in our society, I'll just give you a statistic that's very staggering. To every 5 child you count, one is being abused. Sexually, physically, psychologically, just count on the road, in the market, in schools, count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one is abused, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one is abused. As you keep counting, there was there I told somebody that they said it cannot be. I said, are you doubting it? I said, let's count. We counted in the school 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we picked the 50th child. And I said, young girl, what are you going through right now? She says she comes to school late. Why? Child labor 50. The person was shocked. And you know, I said, because I see these statistics every day. We keep hearing of children being sexually defied, being physically abused, being mentally tortured, and you don't know. Every other hour, it's like a child is tempered with.
Even as you speak.
Yes, and then most times this is happens around them. I call it sacred environments. What I mean by sacred environments, that so close to the child, family members, sometimes fathers, sometimes mothers, sometimes brothers, and then
Uncles,
so when
aunties.
any response you try to do to protect the child sees you as an intruder coming to distort family peace, and so they leverage on the innocence of that child, on the ignorance of that child, and then they continue to perpetrate evil against the child. But most times, because of the kind of response mechanisms we have, there seems to be some measure of alleviation of the slight around those children.
Okay. So what can we do to stop the menace? How can it be stopped?
The first I will talk about is sensitization. We need to sensitize whole communities, whole states across the country, even globally. We need to ensure that people understand what child abuse is all about, not the educational child abuse that they know. There is something about child abuse in the books, but there's something about child abuse in terms of practical experiences. A man is abusing his child if he is dating another man's wife who has children, and that is making his children to suffer. That those children to suffer. It's an abuse. You're abusing those children, but because they don't see it that way,
That way.
because not directly,
Or even vice versa.
Yeah.
Or like a woman dating a married man
yes,
and is affecting the home.
it's affecting the home of that man,
Of the man
or
and the
it's
wife
affecting
and-
the home of the woman itself.
Mm.
Yes, it's an abuse on the rest of those children. A child is looking for you, and you say you don't have time. It's an abuse. It's neglect. Child neglect, we call it. But you know, because of the economic situation of the country, because of the social situation of the country, you have a lot of escapades around these things, and people seem to ignore it. And that for us is a very wonderful thing to go by. So we must continue to sensitize people that you see, please watch your life, protect your children, protect your children. Any relationship you will find yourself in the inside of it that will tamper with the well-being of your family and your children, please stay away from it, else you abuse your children. Any relationship, whatever. Then again, you begin to see people who say we are working. There's nothing wrong in working. And that is why it must be a marriage that must produce the children. So that the, well, do I say must? No, not really these days. Any woman can get pregnant just anywhere, using science and all of that to get pregnant, and then they do very well. There must be this presence of a man and a woman around children for them to grow properly. That's the right way to present it. Now, when a man and woman,
But if you don't have a father or the mother is not present, how do you?
how do we cope with such instances? Of course, there's always this communal approach to it. You have this community parenting that we used to do in the past, and it's like it's been eroded because of this modern generation of me, myself, and my family. Everybody's focusing on their own, and then the entire communities are dying. Right? We have a situation where a man says, I can take care of my child, I don't need a woman. And before you know it, he's talking about taking care of a girl child that is 8 years old. What about when the child becomes 12, 13, 14, 15? What will he be telling the child about puberty? Does he have the information to give? He takes the child to a counselor. That counselor is not the mother. Alright? The child comes back home and the child sees the father going out to another one. He tries to say, okay, let me do something similar, let me date my own person. And the man gets angry and says, you want to spoil your life just like your mother did. That is an abuse. That's an abuse. So there must be this presence of women. So when you have that situation, look for family members who are the opposite sex that can stay around this child, provide care and support, and that way you feel better. There's nothing wrong in a woman taking care of a boy child. There's nothing wrong. Absolutely correct, appropriate. But something is wrong when there is no male presence around that child. The boy will grow up becoming more like a woman. More like a woman. But when you have women who take care of boys that have men around them, go check those boys. They are fantastic. Because the boy will always look for that macho presence and take advantage of the feminine presence. Say, mommy, no, you don't shout, don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. Talking to the mother. But when the man comes in and says, John, sit, you understand? The man is talking. So I was in a plane to Kenya, and then there is this, from Ethiopia, there is this man and his wife and this little boy. You know, all of a sudden, the little boy, I think about age 2, just jumped up and gave the mother a death slap. And the mother had to shield herself with her hand. He pulled the hand down and gave her a blow to the face.
Wow.
And the mother held the eyes, and the father just picked him, put him on his chair in the plane, and that was it, quiet. He realized the father was no longer watching. He came back, looked at the mother, and punched again.
Wow.
Then the man held his hand, put him down quite. So there was this male presence. You can imagine if there was no male. What that kind of boy would grow up, he will become a woman beater. That's how I used to beat my mom, and nothing happens. So he begins to beat his wife. So we must have this balance, an equilibrium situation in family settings that takes care of children. Then when you have a situation where both parents are not alive, that is a critical situation. Very critical. Interventions will imply that we leverage on community presence to protect them. Rather than move them out of those communities to an alternative shelter. No. Let them grow where their parents gave birth to them. They will fare best there than to grow outside of those environments.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
You said a lot, a whole lot, and I hope the viewers have been enlightened. So, sir, what actions have been taken by the government and non-governmental organizations to stop child abuse?
First, let me start from the government aspect because they are the ones that set the ball rolling. They are the ones that ensure that the policies are put in place for the protection of children. In Nigeria, we have what we call the National Priority Agenda for Vulnerable Children. It's a critical document that protects children in Nigeria. We have the Child Rights Act that protects children in Nigeria. Now, certain states have cascaded that, they've domesticated it, but there are some states in the north that have not. But in Oyo State, we have a child right law to protect the rights of children. Much more than that, Oyo State has also passed the Violence Against Persons law. And so we have a law that says if your child is hungry and you refuse to provide food, you will be arrested.
Wow.
Yes. So we have laws that protect children. However, a law is a toothless bulldog when it is not being implemented. In the past, it was toothless, but not now. What makes it toothless is because there is no presence of the family courts to implement the child right law. But now we have a family court in the United States, so it's always very swift, very fast to prosecute perpetrators. And we have a situation where perpetrators that would have been defended by public prosecution, when they get to public defender, when they get to the court, the public defender will ask what is the age of the child, and they hear the child is 6 months. 6 months, defined by a man of 72.
Wow, 6 months.
Yes, they just pull back. They say no, they will rather lose their license than to defend such an individual. That it is outrageous, it is not the best thing to happen. And so we have laws that protect children. Then again, from the government side, in Oyo State, we have a rapid response team on gender-based violence by the grace of God and the chairman of that response team. And our response mechanism is 24/7.
So is it swift, is it fast?
Very swift and fast. Like I was coming from Abuja in the plane. I just managed to put on, when the plane was badland, I managed to put on my phone, and then the network just came up and the message came in. I switched off the phone again. After the landing and everything, so it was a message saying that in the school a particular child was abused, etc., etc., etc. And I said, give me the contact of the principal of that school. And we're going there. There's no sacred cow. We go there. By this week, if we meet again, I'll tell you the outcome. We've had instances where some people say the man is big, the woman is this or that, and that they are power holders. No. The instrument with which we work is not just statewide.
So nobody is above the law.
Nobody is above the law. Not even our responders. We cannot violate the rights of children and say we are above the law. No. We protect children, we watch our backs. Yes. So whoever offends, the law is not toothless. It bites.
Oh, a toothless bulldog.
No, it's not a toothless bulldog anymore. You know, in the past, people marry children. Marry one and I'll come to here and talk about it. Yes, come and talk about it now and see what happens. Let anybody marry a child now and talk about it. In the past, you don't marry, you do video.
Oh, but people still do it, you know.
But it's not, we are not hearing, we are not seeing it. Like I told you, every 5 children you count, 1 is being abused.
Wow.
That we are responding does not mean it's abating. The vice is increasing, and that is because of so many factors, varied factors. Economy, family breakdown, societal breakdown, many things.
Right.
And so people are beginning to talk. However, our response mechanisms is always been affected by social media. Because when you respond, you pick a child off the street, and then you take the child to a safe shelter, you have the media to talk about it, and then they tell people how the perpetrator was apprehended. People get to know. And so perpetrators change their strategy, they change their style. So that is why we don't talk to the press anymore just like that. Because when you tell somebody, we set a trap for the man, and the man came, the girl was playing along, and then we got him. Next time, when the man feels that the environment is not safe, he will watch out for it and make sure. And so that's why
next time, be careful.
Be careful. And then another real thing about it is that most responders, particularly in the civil society space, they tend to make a name out of these issues. And so after making the name, they throw the child back to the state government, who does not have enough resources in the first place, and the government throws the child back to the community where the child was brought up from. And the child begins to regret ever talking. And so whenever it happens, you hear family members tell their children, do you know what happened to Lagbaja and the other house? Don't talk, it will just be like that. There's nothing. When they are finished making the paparazzi around you, they will leave you alone. And sadly, that is our plight.
So what are you doing to stop it?
And what we are doing is the same thing I just talked about. Sensitization, advocacy, ensuring that people follow best practice in their responses, nothing like pseudo responses anymore. We're trying to curb it and we're curbing it.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been nice talking to you, Mr. Marcus Williams. So, sir, lastly,
Thank you.
what's your advice for parents and for the child?
For parents, I will encourage this. Be the example you want to see your children. Just let them see the light that you want them to shine.
For the child?
For the child, I will say this to you. The future is much more than today. Stay close to daddy, stay close to mommy. Watch the front, watch the back. You may not be strong enough to work that strong, but follow the advice of godly parents, godly teachers, godly uncles, godly aunts. They're always there. They're always there. Never think they're telling you the wrong thing. Stay with them and you'll be safe.
Thank you so much, sir. It's been so nice talking with you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Marcus Williams. Thank you for coming on the show. We'll love to have you back again,
No problem.
and I hope you oblige
No
us.
problem about that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We're talking with Mr. Marcus Williams and talking about child abuse. Until we come your way same time next week, I remain Uluwamayomiwa. And remember, your child is your future. Please protect her. Bye now.